Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Two Saints show with myself, Mark C, and my co-host, Mark H. Afternoon, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Mark. I'm all well. I hope the listeners are all well, and they're all surviving the lockdown, looking after each other, and keeping well and staying safe.
Absolutely. So, just like to remind everyone, we've got our Facebook page, The Two Saints Show, where you can get the latest episode of our podcast. You go onto that page, The Two Saints Show, and if you'd like a copy of our podcast, message us directly on there and we can sort that out for you. We've also got our YouTube channel, The Two Saints Podcast Show. Our latest episodes are up on there as well. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Give us your feedback, positive or negative comments. We can't do the show without your input, and we obviously value your input. It helps us to move things forward and to know we're putting out content you're enjoying. So coming up on today's show, we've got Saints Club news, other football news, and Saints transfer news. So we've just got a few words from our sponsors, and we'll be back after that.
Fiesta FM Southampton, 95.0 FM.
Disclaimer. The following program contains language, views, and opinions that may be unsuitable for some listeners. This is not necessarily a view or judgment of Fiesta FM, its management, other hosts, or advertisers. The show is for entertainment purpose only and is not intended to defame, insult, or offend anybody in any shape or form whatsoever. Listeners are advised to exercise caution in their own environment when listening to the show.
The Two Saints Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday 12 till 2 for informative football chat and great tunes. It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything in the Two Saints Show.
Right, everybody, welcome back. So, Saints Club news stories. How Hasenhüttl plans on using St Mary's ahead of Norwich tie. Southampton, Gineppo makes his bold claim about what he wants to achieve. 2 out of first 3 Saints games on free to view. Southampton report reveals Saints are due to a duo are set for contract renewal talks. Martin Semmers has his say on Højbjerg's contract. Laurie McMenemy, Saints board deserves credit for getting Ralph to stay. Saints Foundation hands out goods to NHS workers. Saints confident they'll remain financially sound if they are playing games. And we do have an extra one to add into the end of that, which we'll do when we've got to the bottom of all of these we're doing now. So the first one we're going to do is how Ralph Hasenhüttl plans on using St Mary's ahead of the Norwich tie, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's pretty straightforward, really. I would say that it's probably to get the players accustomed just to playing back in the stadium again. Granted, there's not going to be any supporters there, but it's just I would have thought to get the team to be familiar with the surroundings again, at least. Absolutely. And obviously the surface. So, I mean, hopefully, I know he's talking about, like, he's been speaking to the groundsman, and as yet they haven't been given the all clear. But I would hope that before we're due to play, the home game, or our next home game, they'll get at least one or two run-outs on it, and
Definitely.
Serves well.
Yeah, he did say everyone wants to do it. They'll have to wait a little bit because the groundsmen are working hard on the pitch. Obviously, it's the only time they get to do it. And you and I both know they took the pitch up recently. But yeah, he's basically said it'd be good. They obviously need a good pitch for the season coming because it's pretty much immediately after this one. So yeah, it's good to know that they're going to be training at St Mary's and playing at St Mary's ahead of that. And we've got an absolute shocking record at home, haven't we? So it'd be nice to play.
Well, it's one win in the last 6, isn't it? Recent times, and you sort of, the hope is that obviously we'll get out of the traps and hit the ground running.
The thing is, we've been so poor at stadium with a crowd. Maybe without a crowd, Mark, we'd be absolutely flying. We'd be able to track the greyhounds.
Absolutely. I mean, you would hope that maybe there might be a bit of a sea change where, because. We had the thing during the season where the players were sort of complaining a little bit, let's say, that the fans were getting on their back. So, maybe we had an empty stadium. They're going to be able to play with a certain amount of freedom and show how good they are in training, if you like.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, even Shay Adams has been scoring in training, so something's definitely changed. There'll be a lot of people disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. And hopefully it'll give this guy a chance to shine as well, considering he thinks he's going to go on to big things. So Southampton winger Moussa Djenepo has made a big claim about his future aspirations. And he's actually obviously signed from Standard Liège last summer, showing some promising signs that he'll become a big talent. He's actually scored a couple of goals and had a couple of decent assists, hasn't he, in the 20 games he's actually played for us. Can't believe it's 20 games, that's quite a lot. And he's basically saying he hopes that he can go on and be better than Sadio Mane. No pressure then.
Yeah, well, his two goals, if memory serves me correct, they're both away from home. I think it was Brighton and Sheffield United. And obviously they were both cracking strikes, really. You know, it just showed of someone that was prepared to take the defences on and have a go. But the thing is, Mark, that was kind of early season. So, you know, he was doing it kind of around September, August, September time when we played Brighton away and Sheffield United away. But really, we don't, he's had a few injury problems already, and obviously that hasn't helped in the season. Yeah. But, hopefully he comes back fully fit and he's basically playing, the way he was playing early season. But unfortunately, since he's come back from injury, we haven't seen, the same sort of impact that he was having.
Well, to be fair, he got that suspension as well, which didn't help him, did it? And obviously that was right on the back of losing his mum. So
and that
he did have a rough time of it, to be fair, didn't he?
I mean, the thing is it was a difficult one because obviously, his mum had just died. He'd come back. I think Hasenhüttl was desperate to play him to give us some sort of attacking, impetus.
Especially with Redmond out.
But unfortunately, my own feeling on that was probably his head was elsewhere for that game. Yeah. But hopefully, there's been the break now for, 12 weeks, something like that.
It's been a while.
And hopefully he will be firing on all cylinders, ready to go again. But I mean, if he comes in with the same sort of impact that he had early season, then it's definitely a win-win for us,
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, he's got the opportunity, hasn't he? Because obviously with Sky Sports, obviously making 2 out of the first 3 Saints games available free to view on there, obviously gives me the opportunity in front of TV cameras to sort of showcase his talent, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I would say is just in regards to the article, Mark, is he has a long way to go. A long way to go to even get anywhere near to where Sadio Mane is, because Sadio Mane was a hell of a player even when he was here. And he's probably gone from I mean, I know you've got the statistics there in front of you, but he's probably gone from strength to strength since he's left us and joined Liverpool.
Well, since leaving, so I mean, when he was at Saints, he in the 2 seasons it was at St Mary's, 75 games at St Mary's, 25 goals and 14 assists. And then when he moved to Liverpool, 111 goals or assists in 161 appearances. So he's either scored or assisted 111 goals in his time at Liverpool.
I mean, his stats for us is bloody brilliant. Never mind what we're talking about Liverpool. Yeah. He's just gone to another level there. So yeah, I mean, high hopes for Djenepo, and I hope he makes it. But he's got a long way to go to eclipse Mane.
Well, obviously, I've done a little bit of, as you know, I do another show where I do a bit of research about certain footballers, and I did a bit of research on George Weah. I wonder if Sadio Mane is going to emulate George Weah and actually become an African footballer who's actually going to get the Ballon d'Or. Because I do believe at the moment George Weah is actually the only African footballer who's ever won the Ballon d'Or. So it'd be interesting to see if Mane can emulate that, won't it?
Yeah.
Or Djenepo even.
Or Djenepo. Give it another, 4 years? He should be in his prime.
Yeah, you never know. So there's a target for you, Moussa. See if you can win the Ballon d'Or in 4 years' time.
Yep.
No pressure. Well, anyway, moving on. So we've had news that According to Sky Sports, 2 out of the first 3 Saints games after the resumption of the Premier League football will be on their free-to-view channels. Saints away games at Norwich City on Friday, June 19th, and then the trip to Watford on Sunday, June 28th, will both be shown on Sky's Pick channel, which is free to view as well as the normal Sky Sports channels. Sky will put it on the free-to-air Pick channel and simulcast on Sky Sports. Pick channel is 159 on Sky and 144 on Freeview. And I do believe, Mark, you've also been reliably informed it's also channel 11 on Freeview.
Yeah, channel 11 on Freeview as well.
So, that's great news. The sad news is it doesn't seem as though BT Sport have actually followed the same example and aren't doing it. You absolute bunch of tight people, BT Sport. I can't believe you're doing that. Absolutely disgraceful. Go and boil your head. So,
as you know, I'm never scared whenever I make a boob. Okay, so I need to apologise to the listeners after me rant. Well, the discussion last week. Obviously, BT Sport I think they've made a third of their games available for free to view. So, hats off to Sky Sports for that, especially after I'd said last week that there was no chance that they were sharing anything. But having said that, and as you pointed out, Mark, everyone else apart from BT Sport, right, has made things free to air. Yep. BT Sport as yet haven't announced any games that are free to air, and I see that they're advertising £20 for the next 3 months or something, a special offer that they've got on. So it'd be interesting just to see if they have a change of heart,
What also baffles me even more about BT Sport is fronted by Jake Humphrey, obviously, who's a Norwich fan.
Norwich fan, yeah.
And who knows about fans being a bit, tight for money. I'm amazed he's not actually saying to BT Sport, come on, guys, sort it out. Come on, Jake, have a word with them. Really? Come on, have a word. You work for them. They pay your salary. Have a word. So, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that. That one baffles me. Anyway, I think we've probably spent enough time discussing that one, to be fair, because there's only so much you can discuss on it, really, isn't there? It's good news it's going to be free to view. Sad news that BT Sport haven't followed suit. Disgraceful. Go and hang your heads in shame. Anyway, moving on. We have a report revealing that Saints Geo, which is Ryan Bertrand and Oriol Romeu, obviously, are set for contract renewal talks. Quite interesting with Ryan, because obviously he's been linked with Leicester because allegedly Ben Chilwell's off to Chelsea. So it seems Ryan Bertrand's been linked with Leicester. God help us. And Oriol Romeu, obviously not surprised they're both being linked with contract talks at St Mary's and renewals, given the fact that they're 2 of the more senior players at St Mary's, and obviously Ryan is the only senior left back we've got at the moment. And with Højbjerg going, obviously you need to make sure you've got a bit of cover in central midfield, which is obviously looking at renewing Romeu as well.
I mean, my take on it is we have roughly about 8-9 players next summer. And when I say 8 or 9 players, we're talking about players with no futures at the club. We're talking about players that are part of the match day squad. We're talking about players that are obviously first team players. And I think for me, I'd be keen to tie these two down. First thing is as you've highlighted, Ryan's really the only left back at the club. Yes, he's got an understudy, and obviously he's quite young. I've had a memory block, so I'm trying to think of the lad's name. I've had an absolute memory block.
Jake Vokins.
Jake Vokins, yeah. Jake Vokins, obviously he's his understudy. But Jake's not really ready to step up in the first team on a regular basis. So the thing is it's either you sign Ryan and back up, or you're looking for a left back next summer. I'm not sure if Saints want to be in that position. I think that if they can tie him and Oriol Romeu down to maybe both of them 2-year contracts or something like that on reasonable terms. And obviously Oriol hopefully should maybe get a little bit more game time with Lemina and Højbjerg, as I keep saying, both of them leaving this summer. I do believe that we will certainly bring in one central midfielder.
Yeah, and it looks as though we've been quite heavily linked with Oliver Nasham, aren't we, from Celtic?
Yeah.
Who seems quite a good prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I would be encouraged. I would be encouraged if we managed to get him. I mean, I do think that's pending with, Fraser and El Zanussi and stuff like that, really.
Yeah.
And, as we've said before, it's a watch and brief, really, on that one. But as I said to you, I'd be surprised if it isn't at least one, and even, preferably I would prefer to see two. If you've got two senior players, which even though Lemina's not part of the scene, he's a senior player.
Yeah.
And obviously you got Højbjerg. I would say both of those need replacing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because one of the things that we have been cut short about, and I do get it, because obviously Ralph wants people to buy into the philosophy and be a proper collective as a group of players. And thankfully they're showing that off the pitch, certainly at the minute.
Definitely.
But really, at the end of the day, has he had enough options available to him? I don't think he has over the season, Mark, to be honest. I think he's probably sold himself maybe one or two bodies short.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, he's had very little backing from the club either, has he, financially? So it hasn't helped at all.
No, exactly.
The last window was absolutely abysmal, wasn't it? I mean, that was a poor window by anyone's standards.
Yeah.
Awful window.
I mean, the thing is I think there was reasons for that, but we're not going to go there.
No, not at all. So we'll move on to the next topic, which was Martin Semmens has his say on Saints captain Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's contract. He admitted Saints wouldn't stand in his way if a top side came in for him and was willing to stump up the cash. He also said he's the kind of character that under any circumstances will give 100% on the pitch. He's fully committed to getting through this season and winning those 9 games. He wants to win the league. He wants to win the Champions League, either with us or with somebody else. And at some point, he's going to either have to drive us to that level or move somewhere else to do it. Well, unless you're telling us something that we don't know, Martin, and you're planning on investing an absolute mint in the first team, we're not going to be getting into the Champions League anytime soon. But if that's our ambition, fantastic.
No, so
we need a way to go home.
As I say, I sort of dismissed those two sentences when I dismissed the word league and I dismissed the word Champions League when he was talking about us. Oh, unfortunately, because I'm of the same mindset as yourself. But obviously it means from his point of view, now that he's come out and spoke about it, that he is going to get moved on the summer. And I know we've got an article later on where, that sort of gets set out as well. But having said that, Mark, is it anything that you or I or most of the proper thinking Saints fans didn't know already? Did we not already know that he was off in the summer anyway? Forget about the protestations of the people, high up in the club, or even the protestations of the manager, Ralph.
Yeah.
I think they all knew that he was leaving.
But not, to be fair, we're not experts, and none of us are experts, but you and I both know. You fronted Pierre up at a fans forum and made it very clear, what you were asking him, and you made it quite clear you were asking him about any contract that was offered to him. Had he signed a new deal yet? Had he been offered one, etc.? Couldn't answer the question, quite sheepish, couldn't look you in the face. I think you and I talked about it and agreed that he probably decided at that point he was already on his way out the door. So, people can protest all they like about whatever, we want him to sign a new deal and whatever. Well, that's fine, but you've had all this time to sort it out. You haven't sorted it out. He's coming up to his last year of his contract. It still hasn't been sorted out. He's clearly got no...
And the other thing on top of that is what the Saints do if you're a decent player. Yeah. They sell you before you enter the last year of your contract to try and maximise any money coming into any transfer money coming into the football club.
And, it would be foolish in Saints' position to allow any player to go out the door for free, wouldn't it? So.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is that is part of their culture, the club. We've seen it time and time again where a good player has a year left on his contract. They know that they can get money for him, so he gets sold that summer. Rather than letting his contract run down and him leave on a free.
Yeah, and it doesn't remove any frustration for the fans because it keeps happening. But that is the nature of the beast, sadly, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is it's something that you grow to accept. Yeah. You know that is the way the club operates, and you grow to accept it.
Absolutely.
You just hope that whoever's coming in their place is an absolute, cracker jack of a player.
Absolutely. Right, moving on to the next story. So, Laurie McMenemy said that Saints board deserves credit for getting Ralph to stay. Do they? It's an absolute no-brainer. He's the best bloke for the job at the moment. But he can only do the job if you give him some ammunition to do it.
Yeah.
There's no good giving somebody a gun and not giving them the bullets.
All I would say is, yourself, I have great respect for Laurie. And a lot of what he says, I go along with, unlike some of the ex-players. But to be fair, the whole signing of the contract, it was a no-brainer for the club. And Ralph doesn't have to be apologetic about the 9-0, because to be honest with you, mate, there's nobody better out there that Southampton Football Club could employ at this moment in time. And the other thing is I think he's bought into the whole philosophy of the club.
Yeah.
Like he said, he's been amazed and really humbled by the reaction, of the Saints Foundation and the club themselves to the whole, COVID pandemic. And I don't know, I do sense that there's a lot more of a unity around the football club. Yeah. And I'm really hoping that, when we kick off next week, that's showing also on the pitch in our performances. Because
the sad thing is, isn't it? You've got that. You can feel that like togetherness around the club now.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think the last time we had that was under Koeman, but sadly, we don't have a squad to match it, do we? Which is the sad thing about it. We're at that stage where if we had the sort of squad we had under Koeman, we'd be flying, wouldn't we? Because we have got that togetherness now, which we didn't have before. And
I'm hoping that because the thing is, sports is football's a strange thing, sports is a strange thing. Yeah. I'm hoping that with the unity that there seems to be amongst the players and around the club, that transports itself, if you like, onto the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, things take a while, but
people who have had okay seasons all of a sudden raise their game as a consequence.
The thing is, I think the feel-good factor has been missing for a while with the players, hasn't it? And they seem to be getting that back. If you see them in training, they seem to have that feel-good factor back again.
Yeah.
And that's got to make a difference, surely. It has to.
Yeah, no, hopefully so, mate. Hopefully so.
And talking about the feel-good factor, we'll turn on. That brings us nicely on to our next topic. Saints Foundation handing out goods to NHS workers. So obviously they had a surplus of chocolate bars and water and stuff like that would have gone to waste, would have been used for match days, would have been basically just gone to waste. And obviously they've handed that out, haven't they, across Royal Southampton, Wessex Health Centre, Wessex Hospital, Bitton Health Centre, and so it's really good to...
Another fantastic gesture, plus I believe that they handed out, or they gave away 50 Saints shirts.
They did, that's true.
So let's hope that we've got a few Saints converts now in the NHS.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, again, you can't... I mean, what can you say that we haven't already said, expressed on the show over the last, 10 weeks? And again, it just makes you immensely proud of the efforts that the club and especially the Saints Foundation and Greg Baker's making,
Oh, absolutely. And we've got a lot of time for Greg. He's a genuinely nice guy. We've been lucky enough to have conversations with Greg every now and then, haven't we? And you've obviously spoke to him more than I have, but genuinely nice guy. And it's an absolute pleasure to see somebody like Greg getting the credit he deserves, because he works exceptionally hard behind the scenes, doesn't he, with the Saints Foundation?
Yeah, but I mean, the whole body of the Saints Foundation do, and the work that they do. I mean, Greg as an individual is very humble himself, and he always makes sure, you know, that the whole sort of Saints Foundation is recognised and included in anything, you know. And it is important to say that the work that they've been doing and the work, obviously, that some of the ex-Saints players have been doing, absolutely, you know, absolutely fantastic and blown away by it. And
I'm really
as we've said before, you know, you and I can be cynical about what goes on in the pitch, but, you know, when it comes to what's happened and everything else off the pitch, it just gives you an immense pride being a Southampton fan, and it gives you pride in the city, Mark. You know, because I love living here. I
do think, to be fair, since the lockdown began, the way the club have conducted themselves, regards to what's been happening off the pitch, has been exemplary. And I do think they've given something extra to the city now. I do think they've boosted everyone's morale a little bit by doing that.
Very much so, mate.
Anyway, moving on to the next article. Saints believe that they'll be financially okay provided that they play games. So even if they're playing behind closed doors, shocker, they're one of 12 teams that can survive playing behind closed doors.
I was waiting for your favourite word, shocker. I mean, are we that surprised? I mean, given that there was an article 2 years ago, I think it was now, you know, and the BBC published the article. None of the clubs denied it. So, you know, all of a sudden we know that the top 12 clubs, I think it was, at the time in the Premier League, you know, they can play behind closed doors.
Yeah, not only that, I know we've got people that criticise the owner and they criticise Katarina as well and say that they're not willing to invest anything. But by the same token, they're not just going to sit there and let Saints have an issue, are they? They're not just going to sit there and allow Saints to get into massive financial trouble. So I'm not surprised that we're all right at all.
No, I'm not, mate. I mean, I get as long as we're playing games, because obviously there's still the advertising revenues and everything like that there. But it just, you know, my point is more, it just goes to show that you don't need a crowd, and they don't need the match day revenue. They don't even need any of the match day revenue that the supporters would give, like programs, burgers, you know, whatever else. You know, and I just find it totally amazing, you know. But as I say, no, it's a relief, mate. It's a relief following on from the stories in the Daily Star of impending financial meltdown for the club.
You know, we're selling off £100 million worth of talent. Club's up for sale for £150 million, whatever then.
Yeah, so that puts that to bed, and they weren't the only ones. There was other newspapers that were talking about impending doom first. But it's like I said to you before, Mark, you know, I don't know what it is with the national media and our football club, but, you know, it seems to be a turn-off for them. I mean, unless you basically play in Newcastle, Manchester or Liverpool or London, you know, you don't register, and it's quite frustrating, because you sort of sit and you're like, well, there's 3 Premier League clubs on the South Coast, and, you know, the coverage from national newspapers and that there, it's real. I mean, I know that there's 1 or 2 journalists that take an interest in the club, but in terms of national media coverage, it's non-existent for South Coast clubs.
Yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking. And we're an easy target, to be fair. That's why they do it.
True.
Right, moving on, Ralph Hasenhüttl revealed his plan to celebrate with fans. So he's alluded to the fact that he could consider doing his wave to the camera, and maybe fans can wave back from the front rooms. Not that he's going to see it.
It is going to be interesting if all of a sudden, can you imagine, right? Because he's not going to be doing it out on the pitch, right? So, you know, they're talking about there still will be post-match interviews, right? So can you imagine he's finished his interview and all of a sudden he's there waving the hands up and down, and we're all in our front living rooms or whatever, or bedrooms, and we're sitting there going, way, way, way. You know?
Yeah, so just remember, everyone, we've had clap for carers, now we've got wave for Ralph.
But I kind of still like the idea, because obviously he wants to sort of make sure that the connection's still there with the support. So
I
I
might have to have something.
kind of like the idea, but I'm going to say this. I don't know who the interviewers are, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Roger Clark because that's one that I know that works for Sky,
Okay.
right? But, it could be anybody. But let's say Roger Clark's interviewing him, and then all of a sudden, mid-interview, he goes, Roger, I'm just going to have to stop you there. Saints fans, get ready for this. Right?
Crazy.
Get ready for this. Way.
I've got to be honest. I think I might have to hashtag that wave for Ralph and get it trending on Twitter.
Oh, brilliant.
That's very tongue in cheek, people. Please don't slaughter me for that remark. It's tongue in cheek, obviously. Right, moving on. Obviously, more good news coming out of the club. New 4-year deal for Will Smallbone, Mark. Lad that both hope's going to move on quite well.
I mean, it's fantastic news, man. It really is. I'm not one of these ones that wants to push him forward for next season in the sense that, let it grow. Let it grow.
Yep.
I'm not saying that exposure, a bit more exposure in the first team wouldn't do any harm.
Yep.
But in terms of where he's at the minute, just let us see him develop and everything else.
Okay.
And obviously the fact that, he signed a 4-year deal, again, it's all about getting the youngsters that commit, or, the young starlets that
The amazing thing is as well.
along with Ralph, there is a symmetry there. He signs on for 4 years, and then one of the more brighter hopes of the academy signs on for 4 years.
It's interesting as well that Will Smallbone and James Ward-Prowse both joined the Saints Academy at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Will Smallbone has actually been at the Saints Academy for 16 years now.
Yeah.
I did see a photo of Will Smallbone the other day, a very young Will Smallbone with Nigel Adkins.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a
that
really good
is-
thing to see.
I have to say that is good knowledge, mate. I'm very, very impressed with that because I didn't know that myself. But he's up there in terms of if he makes the same sort of impact as James, And,
absolutely.
and my hope, especially in the modern day, is my hope is that one of the two of them might want to actually stay at Saints and have a testimonial.
Yep.
Because the
Cool,
last
wouldn't that
one we had was 2016 with Calvin Davis. And you don't get too many testimonials in modern day football these days.
No, I agree with that 100%. Right, well, that brings us nicely to the end of that section of the show for today. So we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll be going into other football news.
It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything in the Two Saints Show. The Two Saints Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday 12 till 2 for informative football chat and great tunes.
Right, everybody, welcome back. So moving on now, other football news. So Timo Werner, Chelsea agreed deal with RB Leipzig forward. Man City cast appeal against European ban to begin this week. Raheem Sterling, Jadon Sancho, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Marcus Rashford on most favourable lists. Championship, Fulham versus Brentford set to be first match on 20th of June return. League 1 and League 2 clubs vote to end seasons early. League 1 reaction, Peterborough have been cheated, says Barry Fry. We've also got another article or two to add into that at the end of it. We'll go back to the very top and we start with Timo Werner. Chelsea agreed deal with RB Leipzig forward. Well, of course they have. That's because he's got a £53 million release clause. The Saints were never going to pay in a million years. The Saints were never going to sign him, and I can hear hearts breaking all the way across Southampton, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, you had to throw it in slightly, didn't you? I mean, 18 months ago, Ralph turns up at Saints, and all the Saints, support. Well, a lot of the Saints supporters were getting out of their prom saying, "Oh, we're signing Timo Werner." And you're sort of sitting there thinking, yeah, where are we getting the money from to do that,
I've got to be honest, Mark. I saw his miss at the weekend against Paderborn. I don't want him, mate. I wouldn't want him.
But Ralph, I have to, there is an update here because Ralph has exclusively came out and said in an article that Tino Werner's style will absolutely suit the English Premier League, and he expects him to thrive in the environment. That's what he said.
Well, when he does thrive, Ralph will be able to take the credit, won't he?
Oh yeah.
He'll be able to do a little wave for Timo.
But and I suppose it's like everything else. If he's successful, then it reflects well on Ralph, really. Yeah. But I just thought I'd throw that one in there. I see as well that Chelsea are interested in the lad from Bayer Leverkusen, Kai Havertz. And he's an attacking midfielder. Meant to be pretty decent by all accounts. But anyway, let's get off that. Enough of that.
So Man City head into one of their biggest weeks in their recent history, knowing their reputation, Champions League place, and possibly the makeup of their squad are on the line. Their appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport against their 2-year ban from European club competition begins. Well, you got that imposed on you because you cheated.
Yeah,
I mean, play rules and everything else, and now you're moaning about it.
Just basically, in case any listeners aren't aware, I mean, we've covered this a couple of times on the show about Man City. What it is like UEFA is basically found them to be inflating. So say a company's come along and they've said we'll sponsor you, whether it's the stadium, whatever it would happen to be, and they'll say we'll sponsor the stadium for 50 million, and then the club are saying that basically the stadium's being sponsored for 80 million. So that's kind of what we're talking about. So we're talking about inflated prices.
Yep.
And it's all to fit in around financial fair play as well. People need to remember that in terms of the spending and stuff like that there. So, I've been consistent about this. For me, there's been a case to answer. For too long, even the governing bodies in this country, they've let things slide in the sense that, in terms of, say, the Championship, we see it season on season where people break the financial fair play in an effort to come up. I mean, the most recent club that was definitely guilty of it was Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Well, let's not forget the other lot down the road, about 34 miles in the other direction from Portsmouth.
Yeah,
that lot down the road in the black and red. Have been falling foul of fair play as well, haven't they?
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, there's definitely a case for Man City to answer, and the unfortunate thing is I sense that they'll probably get off this week, Mark. There'll be bus ferrying, there'll be coach loads of lawyers and solicitors, that are all representing Man City, all turning up. And
there'll be all sorts. It'll be, the season's been, diminished because of whatever. Season's been curtailed because of what's going on. Season doesn't have as much meaning. Integrity of the competition's gone, etc., etc., etc. Can't impose these, can't impose these sanctions on us. It's grossly unfair. You can hear it all now. It's ridiculous. But anyway, moving on from that, I think Man City. Raheem Sterling, Jadon Sancho, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Marcus Rashford on most valuable list. So this is the top 5 most valuable players in Europe by analysts, is what they're saying. The England quartet are joined on the list by Paris Saint-Germain's Kylian Mbappe. He's actually named number 1 with a value of 230.5 million. Cristiano Ronaldo is 70th in the list, so he's right down the list. But they're saying Mbappe, 230.5 million. Raheem Sterling, 173 million. It's ridiculous money. And you go further down the list, so you've got 2 ex-Saints on that list as well.
Okay.
So you've got so you've got Sadio Mane, 124 million he's valued at.
Right.
And what 88 million.
What position are both of them on the list, please?
So Sadio Mane is 7th on the list.
Right, okay.
Just one place behind Mohamed Salah, who they rate at 129 million. Virgil van Dijk is down at number 24 on the list, 88 million. So his stock's only gone up by 10 million since he left Saints. Virgil, you're rubbish. You're not doing enough.
I mean, all I would say is when you look at these lists and, you wonder how people sort of come up with them and stuff like that, really, Mark. But, it makes me hark back to the days whenever Trevor Francis signed from Birmingham to Nottingham Forest for £1 million.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, Trevor's always stated that it wasn't for £1 million. It was something like £1 less than £1 million because Forest didn't want to be the first club to pay £1 million for a player. I mean, he stated that on previous interviews, but it does beggar belief because you listen to some of the valuations there, and you just think telephone numbers, absolute telephone numbers. Yeah,
ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. So we'll move on from that one as well. In the Championship, Fulham versus Brentford set to be the first match on the 20th of June return. No Championship fixture has been placed since 8th of March because of the coronavirus pandemic, and the EFL's restart date is provisional, subject to safety requirements being met. I also noticed, because we've obviously mentioned in Brentford, they've actually played friendly against Arsenal, and Arsenal actually lost.
Really?
So Brentford have requested if they can play Arsenal every week.
That doesn't bode well because their first game is against one of the relegation threatened sides in Brighton. Brighton away first game.
You compare that to Liverpool's friendly they've just played, and I do believe Liverpool put Blackburn to the sword 6-0. So
I mean, I believe that they've been in the Championship.
Yep.
The clubs are the supporters who have basically access to the website. They can actually follow their clubs through the website, which is good. Hopefully they'll get loads of people watching through that there. I actually think that, that live game will be a decent game, and if I can pick it up somewhere, I might actually sit and watch it because obviously it's two teams that are both in and around the promotion hunt.
Yep. But moving on to League One and League Two, the clubs have voted to end their seasons early. So League One and League Two seasons have both been ended early after a formal vote by clubs on Tuesday. Lots of clubs pretty unhappy about it, lots of clubs happy about it. Obviously, the ones going down aren't happy about it, and the ones being promoted are ecstatic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Interesting. So over to you, Mark, on that one. I don't really have a thought on it other than obviously with Stevenage, they're currently bottom, but they may avoid being relegated if Macclesfield Town suffer any kind of points deduction for what they've for financial irregularity, isn't it?
Yeah, basically what it is. So in the last 12 months at Macclesfield, right, out of the 12 months, 6 of those 12 months, they've failed to pay the players on time. And obviously that has its own ramifications. My own gut feeling about those two clubs is Macclesfield should be relegated for not playing within the rules, basically, the financial rules. And I would relegate Stevenage because they've been absolutely atrocious on the pitch.
Yeah.
They've won 5 games, I think it is, all season. That's, so if I have my way, that both go, but I have a sneaking suspicion that probably Macclesfield should go, but we'll have to wait and see what the outcome of the decision is. On the other front, all I would say is of the one club that I feel most sorry for really in all of this is Port Vale, because obviously, we talked about this whenever the clubs in League Two decided at the end of the season, but they bucked the trend because all we're hearing about, with all clubs is self-interest.
Yeah.
And really at the end of the day, Port Vale voted against themselves, because if they had voted for to continue the season, they were in the playoff positions, and because they voted to end the season, they effectively shot themselves in the foot, and and as a consequence, they fell out of the playoff places, and some other club took their place.
Yep.
And I know you've got a follow-up story about the League One, but also in League Two. I just want to say this to the listeners, and this to me is crazy. So the Premier League officially starts next Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay? And, we'll have two games where they're both sort of playing their games in hand, effectively, right? So on the Thursday evening, we have the start of the playoff semi-finals for League Two. So they're being played on Thursday night, and then the following Monday, when Man City are playing, I can't remember who they're playing in the league, but they're due to play someone in the league that Monday. And that's when the second leg semi-finals will be played. And then the final is due to be played either the Saturday or the Sunday of that same kind of week. So we're only talking semi-finals and final all in the space of about 12 days. Well, no, it's less than that. It's actually 10 days. In the space of 10 days. So they're going to be playing 3 games in the space of 10 days.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
To finish the season, which I think is absolutely mental. Absolutely. And I haven't seen any evidence yet of League Two clubs in training. I mean, I dare say they're probably back, but I haven't seen any evidence of any clubs training in League Two.
So back to League One temporarily. Peterborough Director of Football Barry Fry says they've been cheated.
It's one of those ones where you sort of think, well, yes, technically they sort of have, because again they're in the same position that Port Vale found themselves, where they're in the playoffs, but because of the method that they're using to recalculate or calculate, where people finish up. Peterborough go out of the playoffs and they're replaced by, can you help me out? Who are they replaced by, do we know?
They are replaced.
I think is it Oxford?
I'm just going to double check on that because I do believe we've got it here somewhere. Now I've said that, I won't be able to find it, which will just be typical. Bear with me, everybody. I'm sure I've got it in Mark. We definitely got it because Mark's pretty thorough with his research, so I'm pretty sure we've got it here. Let's see if we can just find it. Bear with me, sorry. I do think you're probably right.
Anyway, people, I think it's...
Oh, hang on. They were replaced in the playoffs by Wickham.
Wickham. There you go. Wickham, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm Oxford upon Portsmouth.
As I say, they can feel a certain amount of feeling hard done by Mark, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I understand. But at the same time, if the clubs as a collective have voted the end of the season, what are you meant to do? That's the thing. What are you meant to do? You got to try and resolve the issue somehow. And, I think we always knew that because of what has happened in the pandemic, at the end of the day, there was always going to be winners and losers. And unfortunately, Peterborough Football Club and Port Vale are the losers on this occasion.
Okay. Well, moving on, talking of winners and losers, Everton boss Carlo Ancelotti and his players have agreed wage deferrals of up to 50% for 3 months, and this is the second time they've done it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the second time. The first time, I know we sort of big up everything that Saints do, but the first time that Everton did it, it was a wage referral of 30%, and they've actually upped it this time round, where it's an additional 3 months. So they did it at the start of the pandemic. Again, a bit like Saints, really. They were trying to preempt anything that was coming out from the football authorities, which they were slow to react to. So the clubs took the initiative and said, well, this is what we're doing. You can play catch up later on, football authorities. But so it's just, I just thought it was a really good story because I thought to myself, it's not just the first time, this is the second time. And again, they've upped the percentage. I know it's a deferral and they'll get the money back. I get all that, but I just think it was another great gesture, really.
Right, next topic. The Spanish League, La Liga, obviously resumed on Thursday, and the first match of the resumption of that season was the Seville derby, and that actually ended with a result of Sevilla running out 2-0 victors in a 2-0 win over Real Betis. So there we go, just a quick update there on the Spanish La Liga. Well, that wraps up that section very nicely on the show, so we're going to take another break now.
The Toussaint Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday 12 till 2 for informative football chat and great tunes. It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything.
Right, welcome back everybody. So, Saints transfer news now. Incredible. Teammate flawed by reported Southampton and Celtic target. So, Lewis Moore has raved about reported Celtic and Southampton target Aaron Hickey in a Scottish Sun. The 22-year-old Heart of Midlothian winger has said that Hickey's a very good player and has stated that speculation on the 17-year-old defender's future does not affect him. According to the Scottish Sun, the Celtic, Saints, Bayern Munich and Man City... Right, well, we can stop there, because if Bayern Munich and Man City are looking at him, Saints got no chance.
Just to say, Mark, I had a look through before. Aaron Hickey's came up on several occasions, right? I didn't actually realise that he was 22. So, if he does have something about him and Saints can get him at a reasonable price, the thing that you ask yourself is would he be able to go into the first team straight away and make an impact? That's the thing. Do you put him into the under 23s, let him have a few goals there, and then if he makes an impact there, you bring him in?
Well, all I would say is if you're looking to bring him straight into the first team and make an impact, he's got to be a hell of a player to do that.
But
anyway,
I'm not convinced about him. I have to, but then again, it might fit the blueprint in the sense that they like to bring in these unknowns, and
that's very true.
And again, it would be a cheap and cheerful acquisition. I wouldn't have thought you're spending an absolute fortune on them, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, moving on to the next one. Agent comments on Omar Colley's future amid Newcastle and Saints rumours. Nobody listens to Ralph Hasenhüttl. Right. We are not signing anybody over the age of 24.
Right, so read the article so the listeners know what you're talking about, Mark.
Sampdoria's Omar Colley has enjoyed a strong season in Italy and has been linked with a move to the Premier League. The Gambian centre-back joined Sampdoria in 2018, having starred in Belgium with Genk. The 27-year-old, 27, not 24, could end up heading to England after impressing in Serie A. Now, bear in mind, he's at Sampdoria, where Maya Yoshida went on loan.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe there is a bit of traction to this, I don't know.
Yeah, there might be a bit of attraction.
The rumours began in January that Newcastle United were particularly keen on him, with talks allegedly held. In late May, Rai Sport in Italy backed up Saints' interest, claiming the Saints had offered around €15 million for the defender. He seems he's in high demand from Premier League clubs. The 27-year-old is big and strong, and he's 6'3", same height as Maya Yoshida. Strangely enough.
He has. So anyway, just to say, my take on it is that he has had a good season with Sampdoria. Yeah. You can't say he hasn't. So he's had a good season, and potentially, yes, he could be looking to move on. Sampdoria could be looking to move him on. All I would say is the traction in the story there, as you pointed out, was, Maya Yoshida is currently on loan at Sampdoria. Maybe if, they can come to agreement where, Maya was to sign on, because Maya will be out of contract anyway, so he'd be eligible to sign on a free. Yeah. And then maybe, if that deal, say, was to get done, and Sampdoria, dare I say, was to knock a few million off, then maybe there might be wriggle room. But like you said, the only thing about that whole story is, you read the age straight away and you sort of sit there and think it doesn't fit the blueprint.
But in fairness as well, if you actually read further down the article, there's 2 paragraphs which sum it up and tell me that it's not happening anyway. And one of those is, so the situation as it stands, Umberto Riva spoke to TMW about the situation, claiming there was very real interest in Colley in January, but no offers are on the table right now. Right, so clearly nobody's in for him because there's no offers on the table. And he also noted it's hard to know what the price will be given the global pandemic. Believe Sampdoria will understandably want to make profit on the defender. Well, that doesn't tell you anything. There's no price tag been agreed. Nobody's actually put anything on the table for him, so it's not happening, is it?
And we don't know what Sampdoria paid. We don't know what Sampdoria paid for him in the first place. The clue in the article is rumours, Mark, rumours.
Exactly. So there you go. Anyway, Paul Robinson, I don't know what reason he's got to comment on this, and I don't know why anyone thought it was a good idea, to be fair, but anyway, Paul Robinson believes Saints have priced Fraser Forster out of a Celtic move. He claims they've priced him out of a move to Celtic. He spent the season on loan in Scotland, and the Celtic Park side are keen to secure his services for another season. However, Robinson believes Saints are demanding too much, even though the 32-year-old has 2 years remaining on his contract and is one of the club's highest owners. In fairness, Mark, he's gone there and rejuvenated his career at Celtic, isn't he? And again, he's looking like a decent keeper again. But there are obviously rumours as well that he's apparently wanted by one of the top 4 teams in the Premier League.
I'm not going to get sidelined by that one because whatever. That could be agent putting that out there. Yeah. Basically, I don't think Fraser's particularly keen, even after a successful season with Celtic. I don't think he's particularly keen to move, given the wage that he's on here. Why? I'm trying to look at it from his point of view. Why would you move to somewhere like Celtic, where I'm imagining top whack, you're probably on 45 grand, very, very top whack. And then you've got, he sat there, he's on 70 grand a week. Why would he move? Why would he move?
I get that he's like considered to be in his prime because he's 32 years old, and I get that. But let's be realistic here. 32 years old, so in the twilight. Well, people say it's peak, but I would say towards the twilight of his career. Second choice keeper, 70 grand a week wages, and you're talking right. So for a second choice keeper, if you're a top four club, you're looking at probably 8 to 10 million quid for a second choice goalkeeper who's 32 years old and on about 70 grand a week. Is anybody in the top 4 seriously going to pay that? I doubt it.
No. Well, I mean, you know my feelings on it is that Saints need to lower their expectation levels with certain players. And the thing is you have to be prepared to do it, because you know that the chances are wherever Fraser's going, he's not going to be earning 70 grand a week. So yeah, they are serious about moving him off, and you lower the transfer fee, and then the club that's buying him can maybe give him, I don't know, a signing on fee, if you like, a bigger signing on fee or something like that. But at the minute, because Saints are sort of, it sounds like, and we don't really know. We're only, speaking conjecture really at the end of the day. But the thing is are Saints seriously looking for between 10 to 8 million quid for a player that they should be getting serious about moving off the wage bill, because he's on 70 grand a week? And all I would say is, like, we're here to report all the stories, and that's why, there are certain stories in here that, you think, well, that could be wide of the mark. But all I would say in reflection to the whole Fraser Forster thing is, thanks very much, Les Reed, for giving, bumper contracts to some of your favourite players, because that's all what that was about.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, on from that.
all I would say is, Mark, summer of 2017, and supporters need to realise this, right? Summer of 2016, Fraser signed a new contract, and it was richly deserved. It was richly deserved. But then the following summer, 2017, when he didn't have as successful a season, he signed another new contract. So all I would say is thank you very much, Les.
Yeah, I'm glad he went when he did to where he went. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. So, Director of Football at Groningen has admitted that Daviso Zifik has probably played his final game for Groningen. The technical director from the club has told DVHN that the right back could join Saints in a bargain £3.5 million deal. Rip their arm off.
All I'm going to say is we don't need any discussion about this. Get the lad in. He, as I said, I had a look at it. He signed a 2-year deal with Groningen start of this season. He's played there for a season. At Ajax, he sort of struggled to get in the team.
Yep.
And from all accounts of what I've seen as well, he's had a really good season. He's physically imposing and not in a bad way, is what I would say as well.
Perspective for fans as well. Okay.
And he can get up and down.
Let me add a little bit of perspective for fans as well, right? So you've got a potential rumoured target, Joachim Mahler, £11.5 million. You've got this guy, £3.5 million. No brainer. Get the deal done. Rip their arm off for the player and get him in. Simple as.
Yeah, and forget about Kyle Walker-Peters while we're at it.
Yep, absolutely. Right, I'll let Mark go on this one because I don't really have an awful lot to say on this one. I'm not surprised at it. They've set a price, blah, blah, blah. Right, Saints are ready. Yeah, apparently ready to sell Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, but they've slapped a £35 million price tag on him.
Right, so... Yeah, all I'll say on this one, Mark, is it's my gut feeling that that's the club's negotiating point, right? And it doesn't go... What I mean is the price doesn't go higher than that. It goes lower. So you're starting off with 35 million, and the interested clubs will come in and say, we're not paying that in the current climate.
Yep.
Mind you, I think that Tottenham should pay all of the £175 million that they got from the Bank of England, in loans. They should pay that for Emil Højbjerg, and everyone's a winner. But anyway, no, what I was going to say was, both Tottenham and Everton might not bulk at us as much, and you might actually squeeze a bit more money out of Everton, but realistically, he's not going to go for that money, and I think Saints know that. It's a nonsense. Again, we're only going by what the media's saying. This isn't obviously what the club's saying, but I mean, would it surprise us that much the way things have gone? But again, do we want to have a situation where nobody's meeting the expectation of valuation, right? And then it's a case of, well, you're staying put, Højbjerg.
Yep.
Right? You're going to see out the rest of your contract, and that's it. And the only problem you have with that is, and we've seen it over the years with different Saints players, is that if you do that, you end up with an even more unhappy player.
Yep.
Well, so trust me, if Saints get a deal anywhere between 20 and 25 million, given what's going on at the minute, I think they'll have done well.
Well, all I'm going to say on it is, and my only thought on it is, if he goes to any other club for north of 16 million quid, I'll be surprised.
Fair enough.
Now, talking about ridiculous transfer fees and silly season and everything else, which it absolutely is, please, everyone, get your head out of the clouds. Go and have a little word with yourself.
Hang on. Let's read the article first.
Bear with me. You will understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. It is rumoured Leicester City are going to offer £26 million for Yannick Vestergaard. Go away. I want to know what they're eating at Leicester or what they're smoking.
Well, it's not Leicester, it's the media again, isn't it, mate? I mean, the thing is we paid, what was it, 18 million for him, right? And you're going to tell me that all the performances that he's done, his evaluation has gone up by £8 million? Please. I mean, this guy can't even currently get into the Saints team. His last, as far as I'm aware, his last appearance was away at Crystal Palace. And even though he did well that night, I mean, first, like his last proper start, even though he did well that night, I sort of sit there and I think to myself, really, if you looked at the last 18 months that he's been with Saints, right, has he sort of done enough to warrant his price going up by £8 million? I can't see it. I mean, people are saying, and this is where it's confusing with the media and when you read different articles, Mark, right? Because the general consensus is we're in the middle of a pandemic and transfer prices, fees, right, are going to go down, right? So you just look at this article and you look at the Pierre Højbjerg article, right? And you sit there and you think to yourself, well, you lot are saying that the prices are going to go down, and yet you've hiked up the prices for both Saints players. Because I still say it's the media. The thing is we don't know if any of these things are coming directly from the clubs. It's all conjecture. But you just look at it and you think, absolutely, if Leicester want to give Saints £26 million, I would say do bite their hand off. But the reality is, are they offering £26 million? I don't think they are. Are they interested in taking him on a permanent? Possibly. Were they interested in taking him in January on loan? Certainly. Why did he not move in January? Because Ralph wanted cover there for the rest of the season.
He's alluded himself to the fact that he was close to leaving in January.
Yeah, and like I say, don't get me wrong, Leicester might be interested in a permanent, but it'll probably be around, 12 to 16 million quid, I would have thought.
Absolutely.
If there was an interest there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, I think that sums everything up very, very nicely, Mark. I think that brings us to the end of today's show. So I'd just like to remind everyone before we say our goodbyes, obviously we've got our Facebook page, The Two Saints Show on Facebook. We get our podcast version of the show going out there once a week now. Please feel free to request the podcast and we can send it to you directly. If you message us on our Facebook page, Two Saints Show, we can send you the podcast directly. We also have our YouTube channel, The Two Saints Podcast Show. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Go on there and obviously you can listen back to the podcast from there. So anyway, summing up, it's goodbye from myself, Mark C.
And it's goodbye from me. And I said every week, look after each other, stay safe, stay well, and hopefully see you all at some point again soon.
Absolutely. And the only other thing to add is please join us again next week when the Two Saints go marching in again. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks for listening.